reach for me. Don't wanna wait another day without you. Take me to higher ground. We'll be safe and sound. Reach for me. Should have known right away when it felt too good.
Good evening, and welcome to Budget Connect. For many years, we have provided the community this opportunity to openly interact with the City Council and the city staff during our budget process. This is another step in that process. Would like to introduce the council members on the dais this evening. We have Councilmember Terry Rowe, Councilmember Renee Lopez, Vice Mayor Nora Ellen, Councilmember Sam Wong, and former Vice Mayor, current Councilmember Kevin Hartke. And on the phone out there in cyberspace, we have Councilmember Stewart.
Hello.
Last year, we asked you, the public, for your input on the city's budget and finances, and we were very pleased. We received more than 1,100 responses. We certainly appreciate the engagement of so many of our citizens. At this time, we'll open the public discussion portion of the Budget Connect with a couple of questions and comments that came up in the survey. Question 1. This question came up quite a bit, so we will start with it. Chandler needs more lit sports fields and more fields overall. Can we please add this to the budget? I think I will ask our esteemed Community Services Director, Brenda Brown, to address a subject that many of us on the council have been talking about, and hopefully we're making some progress there.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. 2 city council mini retreats were held during the past year to discuss how we might address the growing demand for lighted multi-purpose fields. As a result of those discussions, a council subcommittee was held on November 21st, during which staff shared plans for adding lights to 2 practice fields at Tumbleweed Park this year. In addition, a conceptual plan was presented that would provide 4 additional lighted fields on the west side of Tumbleweed Park, just south of the existing park and ride lot. To add these 4 multi-purpose fields, though, involves extending Pioneer Parkway in the park, street lighting, sidewalks, parking lots, restroom, and landscaping. The design of this project is included in next year's proposed 2019-20 or 2018-19 capital improvement plan, and a construction request is included for the following year. We have also asked that funding be included in next year's capital improvement plan to design and construct 2 lighted multi-purpose fields at a community park, followed by construction the following year. Altogether, we hope to provide 8 additional lighted multi-purpose fields to our existing inventory of 45 athletic fields used for youth and adult sports by the end of 2020.
Thank you, Brenda.
I'd like to make one more note if I can. It is important to note that any additional development of park space also impacts the general fund budget. The annual cost to maintain 1 acre of parkland is about $5,500. So we do need to consider the additional impact on our operations and maintenance budget for those additional 28 acres of lit multi-purpose fields.
Thank you, Brenda. Okay, council. Second question from the survey. Here's a comment that discusses police presence in our community. Increase emphasis on community policing to benefit the community and to keep our small town feel. That was the comment from the survey. I would ask Chief Duggan to come up and address the question/comment on that.
Well, good evening, Mayor and members of council. That really is an excellent question because, well, developing those community partnerships and participation is, well, it's the cornerstone of our system of policing here in our city, because we realize as a department that in order for us to be successful and carry out our mission, which is to keep the city safe, we must have the support and the trust and the respect of the people who live and work here and visit here. So we spend a considerable amount of effort with our community policing initiatives, whether it's our Coffee with the Cop or our Citizens Academy or Youth Academies, our partnerships with ICANN and the Boys and Girls Club, or with our school districts, to our monthly and quarterly meetings, and many others. All of those programs help us develop that relationship of trust with the community, which leads to us being able to live and work in a very safe environment. But at the same time, it also helps us maintain, which we all know is very special, and that's that small town feel that is very unique to Chandler. And we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to maintain that, even as we're a city of over 250,000 people, but we have that very unique feeling, and we certainly want to keep that.
Yeah, thank you. I did want to pass along a comment to you and also a comment to Chief Dwiggins with the fire department. I was at Sunbird on Tuesday night talking to a group of citizens, and they wanted me to pass along their appreciation to both police and fire, and you two individual chiefs, for your work in the community and for being very open and receptive to visiting with them on different issues in Sunbird. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor. Councilmember Hartke.
Chief, one question, please. Chief. So actually two questions. So I think you've got an upcoming coffee with a cop. Is that this weekend? And where is that?
It's at the mall. It's at Wildflower at Chandler Fashion Square.
Great, so people can show up if they're watching. And you've also, I know that we've been able to make some modest additions to our force, but you've also been able to augment our presence on the streets by civilianizing or doing some exchange there. Could you just talk a little bit about that too?
So we, over the past few years, we were able to examine positions that we had in the department, sworn positions, these coveted sworn positions that were providing different services, whether it's training or as our housing officer, for example. And we looked at areas that we can identify where we could replace those positions with civilians, non-sworn officers that can do that same function, and then take those coveted positions, those sworn positions, to do things that only sworn officers can do. So we're able to identify some of those positions. We replace them with civilians that are now in place, and now those officers were added to patrol to increase our deployment out on the street.
Great, creative idea, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Before we get into the budget survey in more detail, I want to briefly, address a note that came in on Facebook from a citizen regarding rats in her neighborhood. And I want to thank Maureen for joining the conversation on Facebook. While not truly a budget issue, we do work closely with Maricopa County to educate our residents on how to get rid of what are likely to be roof rats. Obviously, you don't want to give them access to your roof by trees that are overhanging onto the roof. But you'll see a website a website address on the screen now with a lot of good information. We will also post this site on the Budget Connect webpage, so there are ways to help prevent roof rats, and we'll get you that information. So at this point, I'd like to ask Management Services Director Dawn Lang to discuss the survey results.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, and thank you to those who are at home watching this evening. This is a great opportunity just to hear what's going on in your community, and we value your input. Chandler has conducted a citizen survey for the past 7 years. You may wonder why we do a survey like this. The answer is shown on this slide. First of all, we try to make it convenient. We know it's not always easy to find time to attend a council meeting or a public hearing, so this is a simple way you can provide feedback while you're having your morning cup of coffee. Second, we all believe that Chandler is a special place with a special quality of life. So it's important to hear what services or amenities are on your mind to help us improve to an even higher level. The City of Chandler provides hundreds of services. Many of these are things that you see every day, like our public safety, police and fire departments, recreation classes, and our outstanding libraries. But there are also things like economic development and information technology that are behind the scenes, but critical for the city's future. The full survey is actually too large to cover in this meeting, but there are 3 questions and results that I wanted to share tonight. 97% of those taking the survey scored Chandler's city services very high. 96% rated Chandler's quality of life as excellent or good. 96% said they get a good return on their tax dollars in Chandler. So in summary, these 4 bullets on this slide provide a condensed summary on how Chandler's residents feel about the city. And for those of you that did respond, thank you very much. Your input is greatly appreciated. If you wanted to see the full report, it is on our website at chandleraz.gov/budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Don. Here's a comment that another person made. They would like to see more bus routes, and also a thanks for the new bus route that just began operating on Ray Road this past October that we've talked previously about. I'd like to ask Dan Cook, our transportation policy manager, to discuss Chandler's transportation plans going down the road.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and members in the audience and on the social media. As somebody mentioned, we started the new Ray Road route about 4 months ago. It's about 12 miles long. It was a cooperation with the City of Phoenix and the town of Gilbert, so it extends into both communities. And it runs at about a 30-minute frequency. So we're glad to have that route started and the opportunity it provides to residents in that area. Regarding looking at other transit routes in the city, we are just starting our transportation plan update. We're in the very early stages of that. That project will look at street transportation, transit, and as well as bicycle usage. But as far as transit, we are going to take an in-depth look at transit from a number of different perspectives. One, we're going to look at our existing transit. Is it the right service we have? Do we need to change it or modify it or add new? We're also going to look at things like express bus service like we have to downtown Phoenix today, and if we need any high-capacity transit or paratransit changes. In addition, I think a very important element of this study is going to be to look at what impact autonomous vehicles and ride-sharing applications such as Uber and Lyft will have on the future of transit in Chandler and probably throughout the region. So we are undertaking that. We will have a series of public meetings that we'll be advertising and inviting anybody to come in and share with us their ideas, thoughts, concerns on transit and transportation in general.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I do have a follow-up question on that. As I make the rounds down in South Chandler, whether it be at Solera or Springfield or Sunbird or Ironwood and Sun Lakes, they're always asking me about transit, and I mentioned AREPTA does their thing with the routes, but how far south do our routes go in Chandler right now with REPTA?
Right now, our Dobson Road route, which is Route 96, during the peak hours will go all the way down to Snedeker Sports Center, down through the Price Corridor and then across on Ocotillo. And then our Arizona Avenue route will go as far as Germain Road, excuse me. And our Gilbert Road route goes as far as Germain Road as well.
Yeah, it's very expensive to extend those routes, and without the county, I tell them without county participation in some of that, it's difficult for us to, on our own, extend those routes down to Riggs.
And the other element we look at is the ridership potential along those routes as well, which is part of the overall equation moving forward.
Thank you. Councilmember Rowe.
Dan, thank you for talking to us about the important transportation issues. Just a couple of quick questions. The express that goes from the park and ride at Tumbleweed to the Capitol, how long, what's the average travel time?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but it's probably in the neighborhood of 45 minutes to 60 minutes, depending on traffic in the morning.
That gets a lot of ridership.
It's very well utilized. Pretty much all the trips are full.
And then, segue over to Ray Road. Do you have some idea how long it takes to complete that if you rode it from one end to the other?
It's approximately 12 miles long, so probably in the neighborhood of 20 to 25 minutes, depending on traffic.
Well, how long does it stay at each stop?
It doesn't necessarily stop at all stops. It'll stop where there are riders to be picked up But the stop is usually a minute or two, and then they move on.
Well, thank you. I saw the Express gets a lot of use, and it's great to see us doing that, and I hope we do more of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Here's a comment that asks us to continue to invest in traffic management technology to maximize the capacity of our system. That's a good comment. I'd like to ask our Public Works and Utilities Director, John Knudsen, to come forward and discuss this with us a bit.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Related to our traffic management system, we have a tremendous transportation staff that is constantly optimizing and looking for new and inventive ways to increase the travel and improve travel across Chandler. Over the past 10 to 15 years, you may have noticed video detection cameras at every intersection throughout the city. Those video detection cameras are able to transmit information back to a traffic management center that we have located in our Public Works building downtown. And from that location, our staff is able to optimize and maximize the traffic flows across the city by changing traffic light timing, and to assist during accidents and things of that nature. They can adjust traffic timing and signals throughout the city. The city has invested greatly in our traffic management systems over the years, even to the extent of installing a full fiber optic network throughout the city to support that. In years to come, we have several great things planned. Actually, over the last 2 years, they installed brand new traffic controllers at many traffic intersections throughout the city. And what those do is they allow for better communication through the traffic management center. Also, they're installing as you've noticed, the flashing yellow lights, flashing left turn lights throughout the city. The flashing left turn lights definitely improve left turn actions across an intersection. And then finally, over the next years, we have investing additional capital money to upgrade our detection cameras that will help with bicycle detection at intersections. So kind of nice for bicyclists. The detection cameras will sense them and will be able to react to that on a real-time basis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lopez.
Yes, John, about the flashing yellow lights, I know there were some comments that made in the survey about the flashing yellow light. And we've had them now for a couple of years, I believe.
At different intersections, and I think it was rolled out more extensively here recently, yes.
And my understanding is some of the reports that we've seen that there's actually been some safety improvement at some of those intersections during that left turn. Is that correct?
I believe that's true, yes. I think you probably have less of a rush. So at the end, when you see that, when you used to see that yellow or the green arrow, there was quite a rush to get across that intersection. And I think now with the flashing, you actually have a little bit more time during the cycle to actually make your left turns. And I think people are doing it in a very safe manner now.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
I'd like to have Micah Miranda, Chandler's Economic Development Manager, to come up and address an interesting comment we received. And that comment is, keep supporting the development of autonomous vehicles in Chandler. Micah?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, Chandler has become well recognized as a welcoming community for the autonomous vehicle technology deployment. One of the things, as of just yesterday, we had city staff visiting one of our technology partners out of state to strengthen that relationship. While we're having these conversations on existing relationships, we're also looking to mine the product pipeline or potential leads for companies in the supply chain of that. So that's something the economic development staff continues to do with our partners. And really, I think where the city of Chandler is making a lot of proactive headway is in marketing and telling our story. We're gaining a lot of national and international attention for the efforts of our companies and our city in this area.
Vice Mayor Allen.
Thank you, Micah. I think this is really exciting, and we're really supported all over the state. Our state is supporting what's happening here. Is that right? That's kind of even a state goal and vision.
Mayor, council member, that's very correct. The governor's office has been very clear on their support for this and outlined how different state agencies can go about supporting the deployment of this technology as well. So yeah, we have support all across the state for Arizona's position in this field.
Thank you, Micah.
Thank you.
Here's a comment from the budget survey that we have some good news on. The city website, quote, "The city website is outdated and usability could be improved." I'd like to have Matt Burdick, our Director of Communications and Public Affairs, address that comment.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. One of the council's goals is to be the most connected city. And so one of the things that we're working on right now is to advance the design, features, and technology of the city's website. Through previous budget cycles, council has supported funding for advancing the city's website. So that is a project that's actually underway right now. We're targeting June of 2018 to launch a new look for the city's website that will serve as a digital front door and also be reflective of Chandler's brand as the innovation and technology hub of the Southwest. So a lot more to come. We're pretty excited about this project and the look, design, and features and everything. We're pretty excited to bring this to the community.
Questions of Matt? Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. And Matt, right now, we're all over social media, right? I see, like on Twitter, we have like 40,000 of our residents following us, and we have our hub. And do you want to talk about that so this person and other people know we have multiple ways that they can connect with us?
Absolutely. That we, as a city, we have, as you mentioned, almost 40,000 Twitter followers. We're have the most Twitter followers in the Valley in terms of municipalities. We do use what's called a social media aggregator. So we have the ability we have almost 100 social media platforms in use right now across all of our different city departments. So there's a lot of ways for you to connect and engage with us and with all the various departments. But that social media aggregator also allows us to pull in user content. So if someone is using one of our common campaigns right now is #LoveChandler, and having the ability for people to share the things that they love about Chandler, we have the ability to connect with them that way and then share that content not only through our social media platforms, but also through our social media hub that's on chandleraz.gov.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Quote, "I have heard it is complicated to set up a business in Chandler. Is there a better way to get through the maze of setting up shop in our city? Question mark." So I'd like to ask our Acting Development Services Director, Derek Horn, to talk about this, as small and medium companies really help to drive our city's economy.
Yes.
Derek.
Thank you, Mayor Tibshrey and members of the City Council. That is a great question. And we understand the development process may seem daunting to folks that may use it only once in their careers or intermittently. But this is how we do it in Chandler to help our business partners get set up. We have several processes in place to assist, and I'll list a few. We have a business liaison team. This is coordinated by economic development. And it consists of decision makers from key departments. And what they do is they meet on site with the business owner and go through what they want to do and determine any issues that need to be addressed, and then also work with the business owners to create strategies to address those issues in real time. Also, last year, we implemented electronic data review, or EDR, as we know it. This allows for submittal of plans and review of construction plans and the building permits totally online. So a business person or their contractors do not have to come into the office to do this, which can save a lot of time and money. Also, many of the permits that we issue, the simple ones, can be completed over the counter with one office visit. One of the best ways I think we have to help small businesses is we have development process administrators in the department. These folks' job is to liaison with customers and staff, develop special processes, schedules, and monitor the process so things go smoothly during a business setup for development. The last thing I'll mention is that we have an adaptive reuse district along Arizona Avenue that runs from Pecos, of course, to the city's north boundary, which encourages the reuse of older building stock. And as always, we're always looking for ways of resolving an issue, improving processes. And when we know of an issue, we're always willing to work across department lines to resolve it as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the
Appreciate that.
council. Thank you.
At this point, I'm going to ask Dawn to give a presentation on the upcoming budget and the CIP plan. Dawn?
Thank you again, Mayor and Council, and anyone who may be watching or with us tonight. So tonight, I'd just like to give a real brief overview of the budget and capital improvement plan. And I'm going to start going back in the future into 1980. We were a farming and dairy community of 23,500. So you can imagine today, a very diverse community with a population of more than 250,000, how our service needs and our revenue sources and everything have changed over time. So it is extremely important for us to listen to our citizens and to know exactly what we are putting into the budget on an annual basis. But the question is, how did we become this city? And that is, our past and our current leaders have provided this vision for our community, and that vision has been worked through the years. We've also maintained strong financial planning and policies that have really led to the financially strong city we are today and our AAA bond ratings, which lend to lower cost for our infrastructure and capital. So we're in a very good place in Chandler. And as we prepare Chandler's budget, what that is our financial operations and capital spending plan for the community. So it needs to reflect citizens' needs through mayor and council's vision. And unlike some of the other governments, maybe you might think revenues and expenses maybe don't balance, but in a local municipality, they do need to balance. Revenues must equal expenses. So when we're working on that, we're reviewing on an annual basis where all the money is coming from in the city. This is a slide that shows all of the funding sources that flow into the city on an annual basis. This is to fund all operations and capital and all funds. I'll point out a couple sources that are maybe larger pieces of the pie here, and one of it is local sales tax. That funds a little over 50% of our general fund. That's the lime green pie. We also have state shared revenues where we have state income tax as well as sales tax statewide that gets allocated to cities and from your vehicle license taxes. The other one is the gold pie. That is our utility charges. That's the revenue that you pay for the service of getting water, wastewater, solid waste. And then there's a significant amount on the left side of this chart that shows grants, bond proceeds, system development fees, and fund balance. And much of that is used for our capital and infrastructure needs in the city. And as you know, that doesn't happen all in 1 year. So many times when we plan on those capital projects, that fund balance rolls forward and it continues to pay for those infrastructure needs in the community. We also then want to go to the flip side, is where the money goes. This is all the services that the city provides, all the various activities, as we refer to them here. I'm going to point out again a couple pieces of this pie. We have the dark maroon colored pie slice that is public safety. That would be our police and fire. We have our transportation and development and municipal utilities that deal with much of our traffic and streets and some of the conversations we've heard tonight, as well as our water, wastewater infrastructure and solid waste service. There's also a lot of general services, but again, a large portion of where the money goes is to major capital. The city of Chandler, as it has grown, has become known for just a very quality city, and we want to continue to maintain our parks, our libraries, our streets. All of that is very important to ensuring we have quality infrastructure for our residents and for businesses. So back to the Chandler's budget. Budget needs to balance. Revenues must equal expenses. So on any given year, revenues may come in at a certain level and always involves choices. As you're working the vision, these choices are before us. There's a lot of decision making and prioritizing, and a lot of that comes from our citizens throughout the year as you communicate with our departments and our very talented staff that work out in the community on a daily basis and work with our mayor and council, making those needs known. As we go through and set our revenue and expenses, each year we are always conscious of that cost of service. Our mayor and council are continually reviewing, managing our level of expenditure and reviewing this on an annual basis. So as we look at the services that are provided, we always keep in mind what it costs for our residents or our businesses in the community. This is a very telling chart for us. This is one that actually reflects an average residential household. This would be a household that assumes to use 9,000 gallons a month. 49% of their median income is spent on taxable purchases, and they have a median value home. And after calculating that number for all the Valley cities, Chandler is actually the second lowest community for an average residential household. So we're very proud of that. I think that's something that has been very well managed through the years. Our utility rates, property tax rates, as well as the sales tax rates, which is one of the lowest as well. So on the flip side then, we've talked a little bit about capital funding, and in the current year, we are currently working many capital projects. As I mentioned, the capital infrastructure maintenance and repair is always a very large focus for us, because as we continue to expand, we certainly want to maintain what we have in the city and continue to keep that quality look and feel around our community. But there's also a lot of new construction, and as Dan Cook discussed this evening, arterial street and transportation, there's the arterial street widening. We currently have some active projects in process, Ocotillo Road and Arizona Avenue. We also completed in 1718 an intersection improvement at Alma School in Chandler. In addition to that, new construction is in place that is kicking off or actually happening in 1718. Downtown area street improvements. We have one of our last of 3 neighborhood parks, which is Meadowbrook or Layton Lakes, that it was referred to previously. We've got a significant work being done in our water wastewater area, the Ocotillo Water Reclamation Facility, a joint water treatment plant. Also, Joint Public Safety Training Center is a new project that kicked off in 1718. Really excited about that one, as well as the Southeast Fire Station as we continue to grow in the south of Chandler. That was a need that was in the plan and has come up and started in 1718, as well as a museum in Chandler. We're also talking between all the departments, looking at our future projects under construction. We currently have a 10-year plan that's posted on the website, but that is being reviewed and updated as we work towards the 1819 capital plan. These are some of the projects that are coming forward that are being discussed or are already placed in the plan, and we're refining that as we talk through it with all the departments. So we've got community, neighborhood, and regional parks. As Brenda Brown talked about already with one of the questions that came in from the citizen about adding soccer fields or looking at our regional parks and how we're using them. We also have some downtown development and a downtown parking garage currently in process, another one in the plan. We have arterial street improvements that will continue over the next few years. And with the final project being done within that 10-year period, there will also be a phase 2 to the public safety training facility, as well as numerous utility system improvements, as that is always important for us to keep up on maintaining our utility systems for safe water, drinking water. Finally, there is the budget process, and I just wanted to make sure that our future opportunities for public involvement and future meetings as we discuss the 1819 budget are known. All these dates are on our website as well. But we've completed the survey, which is helping us right now as we prepare for the 1819 budget plan. We have 2 budget workshops with our mayor and council. Today is our Budget Connect, and then there will be an all-day budget briefing that all the departments will present their services, their needs, talk about the capital projects that are being proposed. And then there's numerous council meetings that will then finalize until the budget is finally adopted and our tax levy is finalized The entire process will be done by June 28th. So in the meantime, please continue to bring forth your concerns. Let us know what you need, and we will continue to work for a budget plan that reflects the citizens' needs. Thank you, Mayor.
Questions
Council?
of Don? Councilmember Rowe.
Just one, the all-day budget briefing on April 27th.
Yes.
Not that a lot of people would take the day to come down here, but it is open to the public, right? So if people want to sit and hear about the budget, it's available.
Councilmember Rowe, you are absolutely correct. That is, we typically do have some citizens that will come in and view and listen to the discussion, but it is a great opportunity to learn more about your city. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Councilmember Harkey.
Dawn, would that also be streamed as well, that particular event? Because everyone's going to want to watch that at their places of work, I'm sure.
You know, we have not streamed the all-day budget briefing in the past, but that could be there could be a discussion around that, but that isn't one that we typically do stream.
Only if we can assign value to it. I don't want to stream something for the sake of streaming it, but if we think there's an audience, that might be a good idea.
Thank you, Councilmember Harkin.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Mayor.
The next question comes from a caller, or actually not a caller, but it comes from Facebook, and it comes from Lisa and Chandler via Facebook. And the question is Val Vista Road south of Queen Creek to Hunt Highway in Chandler, or is it in Gilbert? It's in horrible shape. Are there plans to build it out? So I'd like to ask Dan Cook if maybe he could address that again. Dan, that's Val Vista south of Queen Creek to Hunt Highway.
Mayor, council members, that's an excellent question that comes up quite often, actually. But that stretch of Val Vista all the way down to Hunt Highway is actually in the town of Gilbert. The entire right-of-way from the very western side is all town of Gilbert. They are currently starting a project, or in the early planning stages, to widen that piece of Val Vista from Appleby Road, which is where the development of the 4-lane section to the north ends, all the way down to Riggs Road. So that's coming. I don't know their exact schedule, but I believe they're in the early planning stages of that project.
Yeah, I think cities like towns anyway, like Gilbert and like Queen Creek, because I was at the Queen Creek State of the Town last night, their road construction kind of reminds me of where we're kind of in the middle of right now. They've all got pretty aggressive road projects and a lot of demand and a lot of projects that didn't get done. But so it's good to hear that Gilbert's at least got that on the drawing board.
They do.
Great. Thank you. I'm going to ask Kim Moyers, our downtown redevelopment manager, to address this. Kim, the question is, drum roll, please, Renee. Thank you. I hope the budget includes bringing more variety to the downtown Chandler food scene, unique concepts, and a more beefed up farmers market. Take it away.
Mayor, Council, thank you for the opportunity. It's been an exciting year in downtown Chandler. We've seen the Overstreet projects transform the southwest corner of Chandler Boulevard and Arizona Avenue. This project includes 77,000 square feet of retail and office space, including 2 recently announced tenants, Over Easy and Camp Social. Overstreet will be anchored by Arizona's first Flicks Brewhouse Cinema. This project also includes a much anticipated parking garage. We will see these restaurants opened up by late summer or early fall, and the cinema has promised to be open in late 2018. We've also had several new restaurants open this year, including Get Yo Taco, West Alley Barbecue, Puro Cigar Bar, and The Local. We also have a couple new concepts under construction. Julian Wright of Pedal House is opening Las Palmas, and Gavin Jacobs, owner of the Brickyard, is bringing a second unique restaurant called The Hidden House. Both are to be open this year. Our Downtown Chandler Community Partnership does bring weekly farmers markets and monthly art walks to our downtown, as well as a variety of special events with special cuisine, such as the Southwest Cajun Fest, Great American Beer and Barbecue Festival, Harvest Fest, and Rockin' Taco Fest.
And if I've made you hungry, you can find these restaurants and special events calendars on our website at www.chandleraz.gov/downtown.
Questions to Kim? Thank you, Kim. We've had a couple comments about museums, Council. They included the need for the museum to be expanded and a call for a first-class museum. The good news is that we will finish the expansion of our museum later this year. So I would like to bring back Brenda Brown one more time to talk about our museum and the cultural opportunities here in Chandler. Brenda.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The Chandler Museum is being expanded. As we speak, there are pillars in the sky. By next week, they will have the roof decking installed. This project includes a new 10,000 square foot museum building featuring 5,000 square feet of changing exhibit space, 1,000 square feet of classroom space, and about 2,200 square feet of collection storage space. The new building is being constructed adjacent to the historic McCullough Price House at 300 South Chandler Village Drive. The project includes the renovation of the historic house to include a state-of-the-art research archive, a multi-purpose room, and staff workspaces. And in addition to all of that, there's about 10,000 square feet of outside programmable space, including a large covered courtyard that will be developed, including the public art component for the project. These new and expanded facilities will allow the museum to offer several changing exhibits per year, some that might be uniquely about Chandler and others that will bring in world-class traveling exhibits from organizations like the Smithsonian. Once completed, there will be extended hours, including evenings and weekends, and to offer a number of different programs and events for children and adults. And the museum is expected to open by December of this year.
Don't leave, Brenda. We have another question for you, but Council, any questions on that, comments? Okay, here's a request for a recreation division. I'd like to see more programs offered for toddlers and elementary age children during nights and weekends. Most of the programs seem to be scheduled on weekdays, unquote.
Mayor and Council, our Recreation Division recently completed a program assessment and some specialized training for staff so that we can ensure that our program offerings meet the needs of our citizens, especially youth. Currently, only Tumbleweed Recreation Center offers programs for younger folks on the weekends, such as the indoor track and parent and child soccer programs, family walk times, and some ping pong programs. But in addition, for the caller or whoever let you know that they were concerned about more programs for children, I would encourage them to look at offerings at our Vision Gallery, which has Saturday programs at 10 and 1 p.m. And at our library, the library has a kindergarten readiness program on Saturdays. They have family story times on Monday and Tuesday nights and on Saturdays, and STEAM programs throughout the week and the weekend, including Code Camp. Also, in addition to that, the Center for the Arts offers Camp Kids, Theater Kids, and the Youth Advisory Council. So I would encourage anyone interested in night and weekend programs to visit the city's website at www.chandleraz.gov.
Thank you. Questions, Council? Okay. Here's a comment. Even though utility rates are the lowest in the valley, I think the solid waste rates are high. And I know the city tries, but I feel trash and related services are way too expensive. So Don, can you address that? I'm happy that they're the lowest, Don.
Thank you. So I actually, just in case a question like this might have come up, this is something that obviously Chandler works very hard at ensuring that we try to maintain those low rates. So our water, wastewater, and solid waste services are managed very carefully. We try to keep our costs low. Municipal utilities is continually looking at their best practices and the best way of doing things. Maintaining infrastructure is a focus as well. So when we look at rates, I'm going to rush forward here. The questions, first of all, was on solid waste rates. There's a slide on the screen that shows our current rate in Chandler is a fixed rate for all covered residences. It's at $16.93. And this slide does show how we compare to many of the other communities around us. And we are very even. We're in the lower tier. There's 4 other communities that are just a little lower, but we are in the lower tier in comparison with our other cities. But when you're paying your utility bill, you're typically paying not only solid waste, but you're paying your water and wastewater as well. So it's also important that we look at it in totality. And in doing that, we look at the single-family residential utility bill and how we compare with other communities around us. Chandler's monthly or average single-family residential bill, and it's probably it assumes 12,000 gallons of usage every month with just a regular single-family meter, a 5/8 meter. But this would be in total, again, water, wastewater, solid waste. The average resident is paying $73.48 a month. And you can see by this slide, in comparison to many of our other communities, we are second lowest compared to all the others. So I think overall, Mayor and Council, through the years, the decisions that have been made, we continue to ensure that we're maintaining our infrastructure and providing quality service, but we're doing that at a very, very good value. So, any questions?
Thank you, Dawn.
Okay, thank you.
The next item, Council, is just more of a comment that I'll comment to, but it's on Facebook from Lisa again in Chandler. She says, Chandler's doing a great job, super proud of our council. Thank you, Lisa. So I say, thank you, Lisa. And the council says, thank you, Lisa. The council works really hard, and we work very hard with our staff. We have a great staff, a professional staff. The council sets good direction for our staff. It's very important that you have a council that can work in a cooperative way and in a team building way and get things done. You can still debate the issues and vet issues and have spirited discussion, but at the end of the day, you need to be working together in concert and working to move the city forward. This council has done that. I've been on councils that have had elements that didn't do that, but this has been a really good council to work with and that wants to move the city forward. So that's the kind of leaders you have in your city right now. So thank you for that comment. I do want to make some closing comments, council, and then you're all more than welcome to make a closing comment. I want to thank all of those who have participated. You can still get on the website to post your comments or ideas and or add to what's been presented this evening. The site will remain open to comments through tomorrow afternoon. Staff will be also answering those questions we could not get to tonight, and they'll get to those over the next few weeks. So I want to again thank everybody for participating and for being part of this. This helps us kind of know where everybody's at in the city, kind of lets us do a gut check that we're on the right track and that we're leading the community in a good direction. Closing comments, Councilmember Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor. Very impressed to see this survey growing in numbers. More and more people are taking advantage of sharing their thoughts, and it's much better to hear those thoughts in advance of projects or hear positive as well as some of the concerns and maybe negative, in fact. Give us a chance to address those and work through those. It's a very exciting time to be in Chandler. I mean, I feel bad for some of the past councils that have hoped for what is happening today in Chandler. And so all their planning is coming to fruition. And so we have jobs, a growing population, comes traffic with that. And, but we have folks out there that are clearly working to manage that. So thank you for the great budget proposal, Dawn, and everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Lopez.
Yes, I'd also like to reiterate a thank you to the staff and also all the citizens that did get involved in the Budget Connect, and also for those that gave us their comments. And I do implore anyone out there that sees this even later on, since it will be posted on Facebook, to still stay engaged, contact the staff or contact us with any other questions, concerns, so that we can ensure that we bring you up to speed on a lot of the programs that were commented on that I read through. We have already in plans to address those. So we definitely want to make sure that we bring all our citizens up to speed on those items that we've already had the foresight to invest into our future. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lopez. Vice Mayor Ellen.
Thank you, Mayor. This was great tonight. Staff, you were very well prepared. Dawn, I appreciated that you were prepared for that one slide that the resident asked for as far as solid waste. And love your enthusiasm for our staff. As you can see, our staff works really hard and they're very knowledgeable about what each one of them do. So I hope as residents that you are happy with the information tonight, and we're going to continue this with getting your input for what we're doing in our budget process. And that's why we are one of the most connected cities. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wong.
Great that now we have this opportunity. So many residents participate in this discussion and send up a message to the mayor and council. So I'm very glad. This is my second year here, so I have been trying to learn as much as I can, and hopefully I also work with the mayor and the rest of the council. And thank you, the staff. Without you, we really cannot do much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wong. Councilmember Hartke.
Thank you, Mayor. I enjoyed this presentation tonight, and I did take time earlier to read through this. Took an evening, but to read all of the comments that came in, as well as look at the trends that came with the survey that you, our community, had given us. And I do, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank you for that. It's not our city, we are your servants, and we are here to make sure that Chandler is a city that will serve your needs. And to that regard, I also want to thank you for your trust in council with 96 and 95% trust and, and confidence that living here is a good value for you and your household, and the many other accolades. And we will continue to work with our most excellent staff to earn these praises and to continue to earn your trust. And I love some of the things that I heard here tonight. It is our goal to provide excellent customer satisfaction, and we've always got room for improvement, but it is our goal to do that by being transparent and listening to you tonight and to other opportunities, and to have your voice be heard. I love the economic development comments as we continue to attract and retain fantastic jobs that will continue to drive our community. So again, thank you for your input, and what a great night.
Okay, Council, we do have a council meeting in a few minutes. With that, Budget Connect is over.